Starbucks is scheduled to report first quarter 2025 earnings on January 28th, 2025, and that has a lot of investors asking if they should buy Starbucks stock before the company announces these results. I'm going to answer that question in this video, as well as provide a preview of what investors should look out for from Starbucks in the upcoming earnings release.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
Starbucks, if you've been following the company for the last 12 to 24 months, you'll know that the company's under significant pressure. The business is not performing well. There are huge execution issues that the new incoming CEO, Brian Niccol, needs to solve. In the latest quarter, global comparable store sales declined by 7%, driven by an 8% decline in transactions, which means people are visiting locations less often, and partially offset by a 2% increase in average ticket because Starbucks has been increasing prices aggressively over the last 5 and 10-year periods. Cup of coffee, depending on how you have it, could be $5, $6, $7, $8 now at Starbucks. U.S. comparable store sales declined by 6%, driven by a 10% decline in transactions, partially offset by a 4% increase in average ticket. So if you thought that Starbucks' troubles were all due to its international segment, especially in China, it is under pressure in China, but the pressure is worldwide for Starbucks. Its North America sales are declining, its international sales are declining. And speaking of international sales, those declined by 9%, driven by a 5% decline in ticket and 4% decline in transactions. China, specifically, store sales fell by 14%, driven by 8% decrease in ticket and 6% decrease in transactions. So no matter where you go, Starbucks is struggling, declining, sales are falling, profits are falling, and it's in disarray. And so you can understand, I want to say about 6 months ago, it paid a handsome sum to get the CEO from Chipotle, who has a reputation of excellent performance, Brian Niccol, came over to Starbucks now. This will be the second quarter, I believe, that the CEO will be operating the business. Now, I'm confident in Brian Niccol's ability to turn things around. He demonstrated phenomenal performance at Chipotle, but Chipotle is a much smaller business, both in terms of revenue and store locations. Chipotle has a couple of thousand locations. Starbucks has over 40,000 locations. So it's a whole nother ball game here. And Starbucks is beverages mostly. Chipotle was food mostly. So there are similarities, but there are also differences. And just from personal experience and from individuals I talk to, I'm a Starbucks customer, and I've been extremely disappointed, and I've been going to Starbucks less often because one of the main reasons is the drinks that I want are sold out so often. They just don't have it. Every time I go in the app to try, like more than 50% of the time I go in the app to try and order my drink because there's a Starbucks right down the street. I can walk to it, very convenient, but they just don't have my drink. And that happens so often that I don't even bother opening the app anymore because I've gotten so discouraged in their ability to carry the drinks that I like. And this is true not just of the location here by my house, even when I'm away from home and I'm somewhere else and I'm looking to order and I'm like, what about this location? What about this Starbucks? You think they'll have the drinks that I like? And I go in there, sold out, unavailable. And so this is an execution issue. This is an issue of inventory management, being able to stock your stores with the products at the right time in the right places, to be able to forecast your demand from your customers and to be able to determine, to know what to have in what locations. It's operations. You need to be able to operate your business, something that Starbucks clearly and obviously has not done in the last 12 to 24 months. And even the founder, well, so-called founder, he bought the company from the first founders, Howard Schultz, has criticized Starbucks management for getting away from what the company has been good at. And it's been disappointing, to be sure. So the company opened 722 net new stores in the fourth quarter, ending with 40,200. And they do about a half and half. It's half company owned and half franchised or licensed. And when I saw this, I was thinking to myself, if you have so many executional problems or operational problems, should you be opening 700 new locations? Shouldn't you be more focused on improving operations before you continue this expansion? One of the things I would look for when the company reports quarterly results is more of a focus on operational improvement, less of a focus on new location or new openings, right? I would, in fact, if I was, I shouldn't go that far and make that kind of speculation, but if I was the incoming CEO, one of the things I would be hyper focused on is operational improvement, less focused on adding new locations right now. Right now is not the time for Starbucks to be looking at adding new locations. If I was a shareholder, that's the issue I would be pressing with the company. You're already having difficulty operating your existing locations, and you're adding uh, at this pace. This is an extra 3,000 locations annually. I wouldn't be too happy with that as a shareholder. And this isn't just revenue decreases. The operating margin fell by 300 basis points to 14.4%, driven, of course, by, when you have lower sales, you still have to pay rent, you still have to pay operating expense, you still have to pay wages. And so that creates deleverage. And then on top of that, they had increased promotional activity. So even after increasing promotional activity, these are things like, buy one cup of coffee, get your second coffee 50% off, whatever it might be. But even after those kinds of promotions, they still demonstrated store revenue decreases and decreases in transactions and decreases in nearly every important metric you can look for in Starbucks. So the forward PE is now 25.34, which is about the midpoint where this stock has traded for over the last 3 years. So, to answer the question, should you buy Starbucks stock before the company announces its earnings? I say no. I downgraded Starbucks stock. I used to have this stock rated as a buy because I love the brand. I think the company's done a great job over the last couple of decades in building consumer loyalty, building brand recognition, expanding their locations and the operations, all of that. It's seemingly coming undone here in the last 2 years. And so I'm relatively confident the incoming CEO will be able to turn things around because of the evidence I've seen of what Brian Niccol was able to do at Chipotle. Still, uh, this is 40,000 locations. And so I'm going to wait and see before I recommend this stock as a buy. So for now, I have it rated as a hold. And of course, I'll cover the earnings and let you know if anything changes following these earnings results. Hey everyone, I'm excited to announce that my book is finally available for sale. I've been working on it for more than a year now, so I'm really excited to finally share this with you now. It goes through my framework for evaluating stocks. Some of you often ask why I like this stock or why I like the other stock, and this framework provides you the things that I look at when I'm evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.